What do you know about the nation of Uganda? It's one of those nations in East Africa that we have heard a lot about over the years. Uganda was one of the most beautiful nations while the country was under British colonization. It was called the Little Switzerland of Africa. It was beautiful. And then, of course, after nationalism and the British left and national pride and independent governments took over, Uganda was such a blessed and wonderful nation. Our family has been there in ministry, in evangelism many times. But under the cruel rule of the past president Idi Amin, possibly you've heard about that, he was a very brutish leader, a dictator, cruel. He would murder his people suffered under his rule, and that for 14 years, Idi Amin governed with cruelty the people of Uganda. So these beautiful, elite, precious people, educated, elegant, marvelous people, they were so beaten down by the rule of Amin that by the time he was driven out of power, the nation was left raped. The nation had been crushed. The libraries had been destroyed. Professional people had been killed. Amin viewed everyone who had education or who had a thriving business, he viewed it all as a threat against him. He was paranoid about that. And so he just destroyed. By the time our family went there to minister in the early 80s, it was close after the demise of Amin. The people came to our great crusade. They had no shoes. They were so thin. Every building in the city of Kampala was riddled with bullets. The windows had been blown out. It was just the most sad situation. Of course, the gospel came and began a turnaround in that nation. This has been now 20 years plus. And when we think about Uganda today, now there is a strong church in Uganda. There is a good economy in Uganda, a stable government in Uganda. But now, you see, is the time for the church, for the work of Christ to really accelerate so that the superstitions of ancient Africa and so that the religions of animism and these other influences that are deep in the subconscious of the people cannot erode the faith of Christ. It is so important that the church be instructed and they're taught an example of how do we as the church meet the needs of our nation. And this is one of the things the Coriells are purposed to do. When they go, they're working in harmony with churches, and they will show them how do we treat people, how do we present the gospel, how do we bring practical help, how do we position ourselves in a way that allows the miracle working power of Christ to be made visible, so that people know that the life of Christ is not an empty religion, but indeed a divine life that becomes part of those who receive Christ. So I'm excited to hear that the Coriells are going to Uganda. They will be a great blessing. They will make a difference. Their ministry, their presence will lift the people, will encourage the Christians, and will bring Christ to those who do not know him. And we believe this is just the beginning of yet greater things that will come as they make inroads, make connections, begin to put their feet on different nations of the world. We're excited. Uganda, here come the Coriells.